So before you can create the vision or your soul's journey, you really need to let go of the trauma that's held in the body. Hi, my name is Elizabeth Eleanor, and I have been on a spiritual journey for 27 years. I am an intuitive empath, and one of the things that I do really well is clear the things that are getting in the way so that you can really vibrate at the highest frequency of your soul's path. So I just literally got off a call with a dear friend of mine who is going through a pretty interesting and challenging experience. So he's got a business, and the business is in this peak moment where he can sell it and the whole thing's going to fall apart potentially, or he moves into holding on to it and elevating it to the next level when he doesn't want to, right? But as we were talking, I realized that his little boy inside is absolutely terrified of failing, of not being good enough, of not being seen as deserving and worthy from his parents, from his father, from his partner, from all of these things. And so we got onto a call, and he's talking and he's sharing with me all the things that he's doing that are going to elevate him to this next frequency. So meditation and synchronicities that he saw in his Instagram and all of these things, right? And I could feel that his mind was fixing the problem the way he's supposed to fix it, right? So even though all these things were on a spiritual plane, the body was still holding on to this terror that was in his very cells. And so he was dysfunctionally fixing it, but in a way that looked like it was solving the challenge and moving into creation mode, right? So what did we do? I called him on it. I called him on it and gave him the technique or the process of allowing him to go back into his body. Because here's the thing, when you are when your body has trauma in it, right, and the cells are holding a vibration of fear, of terror, in this case it was terror, right, of sadness, depression, or whatever it might be, we have this thing that if you will acknowledge it and feel it, that it is going, you're now locking it in and it's going to stay there. And it's not true. Really, it just wants to be seen and heard. And I was sharing with him a story. 27 years ago, I became a remedial massage therapist. And that's how, through that process, very close together at that same time, I spiritually woke up, and this is my 365 days of being on YouTube. And today I think is day 39. And uh, I've had everything from 3 shooting stars to meeting the love of my life on the beach in a fairy tale experience. If you haven't heard my story and would like to engage with it, then go back and watch some of my stuff. Day 30 was awesome. Day 1 will tell you one of, my big story. I've been on for a while. I'd love for you to subscribe and hit the notification, like the bell, to be notified. And if you like and feel value out of this video, please like it, give it a thumbs up. What happens is, and like, let me tell you my story, right? I became a massage therapist and then learned and understood that I could feel the cells of the body. So people would go, "Oh, are you doing Reiki?" And I've never experienced or done Reiki myself. I have felt experienced it, but I've never learned it or done any training. But what I would explain to people is this is the way I see it. I would put my hands on the body, and it was like I would merge with the cells, and the cells would go, "Oh shit, someone is listening to us on our level." Now, the first time, sometimes if the body was in a lot of trauma, the cells would go, holy shit, we've never had anyone be in our presence before and listen to us. So they would be a little bit discerning and a little bit, not reject, but would just go, I don't know if I'm okay with this, right? And I would just sit there and be present, right? And allow the cells to know that it was safe, that I was safe. So the second time along, I would put my hands on and the cells would go, oh, I remember you. I remember that I felt safe with you and I feel safe with you now. So I'm going to tell you my story. And as I was explaining to this guy, if you were a tennis player and you had this tennis elbow, right? So you're backwards and forwards. What would happen is I'd place my hands down and the cells would go, this is my pattern. And it would go backwards and forwards like a tennis player. And it would tell me this, they would tell me the story. And once they felt heard, they'd go, this is my story. And I'd feel this movement and I would just follow the story along, right? And listen to the cells. And then they'd go, now that you've heard me, I'm going to let go of that story. And I would feel the energy just dissolve under my hands and it would be complete. And then I would move on to the next part of the body. So how does this relate? When your body is holding on to trauma, that trauma just wants to be seen, heard, and validated. So it doesn't mean that when you acknowledge it, that it's going to stay. It's just observing it, listening, sitting with it, allowing it to come out of your body, expressing it, right? Just be with the terror, like be with the sadness, be with whatever it is, and breathe it out, right? As I was saying to this guy, just go and sit with it. Because what happens is the soul doesn't want to come into the body when it's got this feeling in it. It's terrified. The terror is not the same vibration as the soul. So the soul is half in and half out of the body. But when you can just allow the soul to start coming back into the body and breathe that, like feel that feeling, right? And breathe it out and just allow the body to cry, allow the body to scream if it's anger, whatever it is, just allow it. When you do that, it means that you're dissipating the energy. The energy just wants to be seen and acknowledged, and then it'll let go, right? It's just allowing it to be there and to express it. Now, if you have a massive, I say massive, right? Because we define things as good or bad, and that to me, I'm just like, oh, I just made something a massive experience. If you think that you've got a massive trauma in your body, right, and you're too scared to allow it, it doesn't feel safe for you, then this is something that you may want to experience with a practitioner of some sort, right? Now, one of the things that I just recommended to this friend of mine is cranial sacral work is a really good way of connecting the body and allowing the body to experience itself, right? And releasing the energy out of it. Releasing the energy, because when you're creating something, and if you've watched Day 30 and you're on the journey with me, you'll know that, I teach alchemy. And alchemy is all about creating. So you've got to know what you want to create. You've got to become it now. You've got to experience the current reality, what's getting in the way. You've got to clear that out of the way and take inspired action, right? When you're in that field, when you're meditating and you're doing law of attraction, you're calling it all in, that frequency and the old trauma cannot be in the same place. So the old trauma starts bubbling up, and it can be really traumatic for the body. And so the body starts restricting. It's letting that go so that those bubbles can turn into gas, right? And so that experience is dissipating so that now the body can come into alignment and you can become the person that has this desired end result that you're choosing to experience. So often, like this guy this friend of mine, beautiful, beautiful man, he has just spent some time in Joe Dispenza. He's been doing a deep dive into Joe Dispenza's work. And you could think like the mind can go, oh my gosh, I've gone backwards because now I've got this thing going on and everything's crumbling. However, it's actually part of the process to allow that crumbling to go away and to dissipate. So now that you can have the experience that your soul needs to have. And as I said to him, your soul may need to have that experience of everything falling apart because it's had this experience over and over again in past lives. And this time around, you're ready for the correction. And if you allow the correction to happen, then that means it's not going to happen next life. You're allowing that to happen now and being completely okay with it because your soul needs to go through that experience. And this is where the spiritual journey is not all rainbows and unicorns. This is where the spiritual journey is something that can have those dark nights of the soul so that you can release that and come to the other side and come into the light, right? It's knowing that you are in alignment with your soul and that this is what my journey is, and committing to the journey that the soul is here to experience. Because when you resist it, when you prefer to stay in the unsafe energy, and so you distract yourself, you divert yourself, you go into the mind, all of those things, that's when it's going to be rockier, harder, and you're going to have the experience again in another life if you don't do it this time round. Isn't it so much nicer to go through and just rip the Band-Aid off, knowing that you and your soul are here to experience this, and that actually once you rip the Band-Aid off, now you can let that skin underneath heal, right? And know that it will heal a lot easier once you've done that than having to pull it off a little bit at a time over lifetime and lifetime and lifetime. So take that moment, gently breathe through your body, allow yourself to feel it, go into your body, feel yourself in your base chakra, in your sacral actually is the best place to reside. If you don't know how to do any of this stuff, and this is like, what are you even talking, Elizabeth? Jump into, click on the link below my website. There's a whole heap of free resources. Jump on a call and let's have a talk, because, this might be a bit of an elevated conversation, but I'm right in the process right now, and I just wanted to experience it with you and share it on here. Take care, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll catch you tomorrow.